You're watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. From Toronto, Ontario, this is Saamiyah Syed. Welcome to the show. Joining us shortly is Sister Asiya Khan from the National Council of Canadian Muslims on understanding anti-Black Islamophobia and sharing the legacy of Black Muslim communities. But first, let's take a look at some headlines. Canada's national freeze on handgun sales. Edmonton man who assaulted Muslims sentenced to jail. Cambridge City Hall display for Islamic History Month. Dutch police prevent Qur'an burning rally. And now the details. The Government of Canada is implementing a national freeze on handguns. Starting October 21st, Canadians cannot buy, sell, transfer, or bring in new handguns in Canada. The freeze is part of the Canadian government's aim to curb the spread of gun violence. Bill C-21, comprehensive legislation to that effect, is still being debated in Parliament. According to a statement by the Prime Minister's office, the government has banned 1,500 types of assault-style firearms. Bill C-21 proposes revoking firearms licenses for people involved in acts of domestic violence and criminal harassment. Richard Bradley Stevens, who assaulted two Edmonton Muslim women in 2020, has been sentenced to 16 months in jail. The hate-motivated incident occurred in the parking lot of Southgate Centre with a Somali mother and daughter. Local media report that Judge Fern Levereverend told the provincial courtroom in Edmonton that she was satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that Stevens attacked the woman because of their gender, race, and religion. The judge said previous sentences for this type of attack have obviously not been effective as hate crimes continue to rise. The family's representative tells the media that while the judgment is, quote, precedent-setting, nothing can undo the harm this family and community has suffered. Cambridge City Hall is showcasing Muslim heritage as part of Islamic History Month with a visual display. Muslim Women of Cambridge, an organization that has set up displays at local libraries in past years, chose the city as this year's partner to show acceptance from the city. The visual display consists of historic artifacts, calligraphy pieces, and profiles of Muslim figures. Halal cuisines and hijabs are offered at the display. It also includes a miniature Kaaba where Muslims go annually to fulfill the fifth pillar of Islam in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Dutch police on Sunday prevented a planned demonstration of the far-right Islamophobic group Pegada that would burn the Qur'an in The Hague. On Saturday, the police also arrested a leader of the Pegada, which similarly ended the planned burning rally of the group in Rotterdam before it started. Anti-Islam movement Pegada early announced that they would gather in the city center of Rotterdam on Saturday to burn a copy of the Qur'an. The Dutch police said that the head of Pegada Netherlands, who ignored the warnings and continued his hate speech, was arrested, while other members were dispersed. And that's it for the news. Now, October is Islamic Heritage Month, or also referred to as Islamic History Month. It is a time to celebrate the achievement of Muslims both in Canada and internationally. But more importantly, it's an opportunity for people to learn about Muslims, who they are, their accomplishments, their history, their struggles. The amount of knowledge to share is really endless. Doing their part in this effort is the National Council of Canadian Muslims. They're collaborating with the Centre of Excellence for Black Student Achievements to provide professional development sessions for staff, students, and families part of the Toronto District School Board. Joining us now to tell us more is Sister Asiya Khan, the Manager of Education Programs with the National Council of Canadian Muslims, or NCCM. Welcome, Sister Asiya, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Sister Asiya, tell us about this session. Where did this collaboration with the center come from?
I think conversations around anti-Black Islamophobia have been around for decades. The communities have been organizing around anti-Black racism and Islamophobia. And of course, the Black Muslim community in Canada is vibrant. It's been here since the beginnings of our nation. So thinking about, that context and thinking about what's needed in terms of creating spaces of affirmation, belonging for students, staff, and families within education. I think a partnership like this is incredible, and it's a signal for other boards that more work needs to happen to ensure that Muslim communities, specifically Black Muslim communities, to look at their unique needs. We need to be doing more.
You created these spaces through introducing the sessions themselves. What topics did the sessions include?
So these sessions include like a variety of different topics. We start by looking at what Islamophobia is. We talk about the history of Black Muslims in Canada, as well as the ongoing contributions and legacies of the diversity of Black Muslim communities here. We look at a term coined anti-Black Islamophobia, which was coined by a Black Muslim academic in Montreal. And so we explore what that means, but we also take a very close look at what this means for classrooms. How does this play out? How do we identify ABI, or anti-Black Islamophobia, in day-to-day practices within schooling? And we, go through case studies, we talk about tools and resources, and we have sessions that are open to educators as well as students.
And these sessions, they're designed by NCCM?
So they're designed in collaboration because we are working in partnership with the Toronto District School Board and their Center for Black Excellence. So we are doing this in collaboration. So we work very closely with their team to ensure that we are presenting and sharing learning that meets the unique context of the TDSB and the students.
Mm-hmm. Now, unfortunately, we won't get to cover the sessions in detail here, but if you could summarize some of those tools that you mentioned before, or resources, what would you say?
I think the really key part is doing our own learning first, to recognize that ABI is a reality, right? Anti-Black Islamophobia permeates many of our sectors. I know we're very active in the education sector, but ABI is a reality for Black Muslim Canadians in their day-to-day experience. So it could be with, when we're looking at media representations of Black Muslim communities, it could be in the justice system, education, etc. So I think really doing our own learning and understanding what this means, how does Islamophobia and anti-Black racism intersect, is really important, and really speaking to folks who have expertise in this area. We have a team dedicated at NCCM who has the expertise in this area, who's looking at this, and of course isn't doing it alone, right? We need community. We need to do it in partnership with those who are most impacted. And so ensuring that we're centering the voices of folks who have been organizing around this issue for decades. There's a group called the Black Muslim Initiative in Canada who's been doing this work and who are experts in this space. So just kind of learning from folks who are already on the ground doing the work and who have continued to do the work.
Now, I believe 2 sessions with the Toronto District School Board passed very recently. How are these sessions received?
So we've been getting a lot of positive feedback. When we initially announced the partnership, I immediately got a really thoughtful kind of note someone shared with me. They said, I've gone through the schooling system already, but I wish this was there for me when I was in it. And so hearing kind of, stories and narratives from folks sharing with us how this learning is important has really signaled to us that, this work is ongoing. I know there's been huge conversations within the last few years around, racism, anti-Black racism specifically, and Islamophobia. But ensuring that we're continuing these conversations in ways that are nuanced and that actually look at the intersectional realities of our community here in Canada is really important.
Mm-hmm. And are there plans to hold these sessions with other school districts as well?
Yes, so we, like I said, we have a team that's working really closely, who looks at anti-Black Islamophobia very closely, and so we have received a lot of interest from other school boards who are hosting their own sessions, who have booked their own sessions, and so we encourage schools to think deeply about the way we engage in anti-Islamophobia training, professional development, and ensure that we're thinking about kind of the intersectional experiences of Muslim communities, because we don't all experience our lived realities in the same way. And so, thinking about anti-Black Islamophobia is an important start to deepening our understanding.
Mm-hmm. And from what you said so far, we've covered how these sessions are for schools. But from what I understand, NCCM also offers these workshops for other groups, businesses, community organizations, anything really. What is different about these workshops, if anything?
I think, we definitely do engage with a variety of sectors, because we recognize Islamophobia is dynamic and it permeates all sectors. So we are, active within school boards, but we're also active with other organizations, nonprofits. We work in a number of different spaces through training, also through consultation and advocacy. And so what our training provides is, an on-the-ground perspective, because we are so connected to community, because we have advocacy efforts, because we're engaged. We try to infuse community voices into our training to ensure that we're responsive. And our trainings are designed through consultation. So we don't do this alone. We recognize that this work has been happening and it'll continue to happen, but we need to do it in partnership. And so we recognize that there are a number of community members who continue to kind of engage with us, and we consult with them actively to ensure that what we're presenting is actually responsive. So we have kind of that on the ground understanding, and we're able to present it in a way that is contextualized to a company, an organization, a nonprofit, and even a school board.
Now, if someone is interested in holding the workshop, how do they reach out to you?
So you can contact us at edu, so edu@nccm.ca. You can also visit the NCCM website, so nccm.ca. But if you'd like to get in contact with us specifically about our trainings, edu@nccm.ca is the best way to reach us.
Now, I've noticed that around Islamic Heritage Month or History Month, there always seems to be trainings and sessions just like this. But afterwards, after the month is over, they kind of take a break. I mean, what happens after October? What are we supposed to do?
I think that's a really important question, and it's something that we often talk about in our trainings and in conversations with folks who are excited about this month. And it's a fantastic month, right? It's a month where we're celebrating the rich histories, contributions, and lived experiences of Muslim communities in Canada. But it's also a month to collectively envision what a Canada is, where Muslim communities actually feel like they are safe, affirmed, and that they belong. So what we encourage folks to do is use IHM as a starting point or an entry point into the ongoing work that's necessary, be it at your organization, your company, your nonprofit, your classroom, whatever it is. Allow this to be kind of that launch pad for the rest of the school year and the other days of the month. Often we get a lot of requests during IHM, but we encourage folks to kind of continue that learning afterwards. So it really is an entry point. I think it's a beautiful way to start, but we have to recognize that the ongoing work that's necessary to ensure that Muslim communities are affirmed every day of the year.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Sister Asia, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on. You are watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. That's it from our Toronto studios tonight. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more Canadian Muslim content. Stay safe, and until next time.